I was a creator before I went to law school. I started out on YouTube in 2014 before they were really before it was really this big $250 billion industry of the creator economy. It was just creators making content on YouTube. On Instagram really wasn't even a thing. It was kind of a thing, but not as much as it is now, of course. So yeah, I started as a creator. I didn't go to law school until 2016. So I was able to go through some of those trials and tribulations that my creators do now, where it's like I've signed terrible contracts before I knew they were terrible contracts.
Wow.
I've had brands pay me late and not know how to get the money, and then I figured that out. So when I speak to clients, I have this really just privileged position where it's like I truly understand and I can meet them where they are. I will give context. Do not just quit your job, please. Entrepreneurship is difficult. It's harder than I even realized. But for me, like I had 6 months saved. I was already making money as a creator, so I was in a great position to take a risk. So I did it. And then after the year was up, I was like, wait, I survived. It worked.
When people mention your name, what would you want to be known for? And what do you want them to say about you most?
I want people to...
Welcome to a brand new edition of the Kenn Rashad Show, where we profile and highlight extraordinary entrepreneurs who are doing extraordinary things in the communities in which they serve. Now, I am not one who just puts it out there. I'm not a giddy kind of guy, but when I tell you I'm pretty excited about this particular episode and the guest that I have, I really mean it. She is an influencer. And even though she is considerably younger than I am, believe me when I tell you, when I first came across and started seeing her videos online, I was influenced. I'm telling you. And then for whatever reason, it was just something about her that just made it sticky for me. And I'm like, okay, here's another video. And I take a moment to see what she's about. And I learned that this sister's extraordinary. There's something about her that's just like pretty unique. Okay. She is an attorney who saw a growing creator industry full of talent, ambition, and opportunity, but not enough clarity, protection, or business awareness behind the scenes. Today, she is the founder and CEO of Social Docket, a tech startup built to help creators and entrepreneurs understand contracts, protect their work, and negotiate from a place of knowledge instead of guesswork. Through her platform, she's focused on making legal power feel accessible, not intimidating, and helping people value what they create before someone else does. Let's welcome to the stage my very special guest, an influencer, an entrepreneur, and just an extraordinary person all across the board, Kameron Buckner.
Hey, y'all. Thank you so much. What a great
intro. Welcome, lady. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here. I can't wait to chat.
For the people who may not necessarily know you or may be hearing about you for the first time, how do you describe the work that you do and who you serve?
Yeah, so I mean, you did such a great intro, but I am a lawyer by degree. I am a creator by passion, and I am a tech founder by purpose. Social Docket is my company, and basically, I just love everything about being a creator. And I also love everything about law. And I was able to find this unique way to combine them both by using tech and to help my fellow creatives make sure they're protected and they can just stay in their zone of genius of being a creator. Social Docket is an AI-powered legal tech platform, and our goal is to provide modern legal and business tools for the creator economy, eventually the entire digital workforce, because there's this workforce that is quickly evolving that we just haven't really addressed in a unique way. And our argument is that the digital workforce is going to be one of the number one places people are looking to make money. And we want to service them through modern legal tools, modern business tools, of course, using AI, but don't worry, there's going to be a human touch as well. I know some people are hesitant with AI. So our goal is to make sure that you feel protected, safe, and you understand how the platform works, but also how to protect yourself.
Okay. So you're an attorney, you're a lawyer by degree, as you stated. And I'm guessing you, other than just overall basic computer skills, let me guess. You decided to go a year or two to some tech institution and you learned coding, right?
No, actually, I have no tech background. I thought about it, crazy. I was like, when I had the idea, I was like, I don't know any engineers. I didn't go to a top Ivy League school. I don't even know how to find these people. Like, where are they and how do I get help? Maybe I should go get an engineering degree or computer science. And I quickly realized, how about you just leverage your network, see who knows this. And honestly, it made me realize how valuable having your network is, because you never know who knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, especially when you're pivoting from a different industry. I have amazing friends and amazing community that helped guide me to my founding engineer and our future CTO. So I don't do the tech. I'm very heavily involved because I want to make sure that I know what's happening, I know what's going on, and I'm able to, find the right next hire if he needs support. So I don't do the tech, unfortunately.
Right. So there is a lesson there for those of you aspiring entrepreneurs, or those who are in a space who feel that you may be limited from a financial standpoint. This is a classic example of the power of networking, and that
Yes.
there's my mentor or my coach who says that while you may sometimes lack certain resources, the problem is that you lack resourcefulness, and this
Right.
is a perfect example of someone who made the pivot and leveraged the network that she currently works with to make this endeavor possible. So Cameron, let me ask you, like, and I understand, yeah, you address this problem, and this is something you already do, but when creators come to you today, what
Mm-hmm.
issues or misunderstandings do you often see with respect to contracts? Because I'm guessing that was kind of like what led to all of this, right? You look at these deals, or people come to you with problems and I guess you probably see they're stumbling. I mean, is there kind of like that one particular moment to where you said, "This is just it. I'm going to pivot and see what I can do in the AI space"?
Yeah, so out of law school, I started out with employment litigation, completely different than what I'm doing in
Wait
a
a minute.
traditional law firm.
You start off with what?
Employment litigation.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, at a plaintiff's law firm. So we
Hmm.
represented employees who were suing their employers for various different reasons: sexual harassment, wrongful termination, retaliation, etc. That lasted a year, and then I quickly realized don't really like traditional law firm life. I love the law, just not in a traditional sense. But I was already helping creators with their contracts at that point, but I wasn't necessarily charging for it because they were my friends. And then somebody that wasn't a friend asked me, how much do I charge for contract consultations? And I was like, that's it. So I started a consulting firm instead of a law firm. Yeah. I started that consulting firm because I wanted jurisdiction freedom when it came to helping creators across the United States and beyond. So I've been advocating for creators for the past over 5 years now, which has been nice, and exclusively helping them with contracts. But with Social Docket, really what happened is I noticed the same questions and same situations over and over and over, where there was so many stories. But one particular one stands out. It was a client. She had hundreds of thousands of followers. She was a model by trade, but also did social media. She was crying and just like upset because she was driving down the street. She saw her face on a billboard and she couldn't pay her rent. And I'm like, how did she even get in that situation? And unfortunately, it was the contract. She signed a terrible contract. And it was simply like not understanding 1 to 2 words where she could have been able to avoid that.
Wow. So I'm guessing the fact too that you're saying that this is a creator who had hundreds of thousands of followers.
Yeah.
And when you put yourself in that particular situation as well, I mean, you obviously kind of were you kind of like doing your content creation? Was it kind of like something you were just doing on the side, or was it intentional? Because I'm guessing that obviously when you see situations like this, you obviously can relate to it from personal experience.
Yes.
How
Yes.
simple is that to navigate, or is that a difficult process? I mean, talk about that experience between relating to the problems that you have your clients
Mhm.
have to go through and relating that to what you currently do for your own content creation.
Yeah, so I was a creator before I went to law school.
Mm.
I started out on YouTube in 2014 before it was really this big $250 billion industry of the creator economy. It was just creators making content on YouTube. On Instagram really wasn't even a thing. It was kind of a thing, but not as much as it is now, of course. So yeah, I started as a creator. I didn't go to law school until 2016. So I was able to go through some of those trials and tribulations that my creators do now, where it's like I've signed terrible contracts before I knew they were terrible contracts.
Wow.
I've had brands pay me late and not know how to get the money, and then I figured that out. So when I speak to clients, I have this really just privileged position where it's like I truly understand and I can meet them where they are. I always tell lawyers when I'm coaching them on various different things where it's like, if you want to help the creators, if you want to help a specific industry insert the industry, be included in that community, join that industry. You don't have to be an influencer or a creator, but post on social media. The best people that can advocate for digital creators and digital entrepreneurs are online. They're online. They get the platforms. They understand the frustrations. And because it changes so fast, you kind of have to be really in tune with it to make sure you're advocating correctly, really.
Yeah. Hey, folks, Kenn Rashad. We'll get back to the show in just a second, but I've got to take a quick pause just to put something on your radar. My business coach, Dr. Myron Golden, is hosting his next Make More Offers Challenge. And if you're serious about growing your business, scaling your income, and creating lasting impact, this is the place to be. It's 5 days of high-level teachings that'll show you how to structure, price, and position offers that don't just sell, but they help your business grow with purpose. I've been through this challenge myself, and it completely shifted the way I think about business, from how I build to how I serve. So do yourself a favor, go to offers.kennrashad.com and secure your spot for the next Make More Offers Challenge. Now let's get back to the show. So when you dealt with that first person that first client that you were talking about, was that you said, okay, well, I finally decided to go ahead and charge this person for your services. Was it at that moment that you made the conscientious decision to kind of like go ahead and do this full time, or kind of allow this to be the thing, if you will?
Not really. So when I quit September 2020 law firm life, I was like, I'm just going to quit for 1 year, test out entrepreneurship, take a break, and just go back to law. Like that was the game plan. That was my game plan. I was like, just 1 year, because I just couldn't see past 1 year. And I didn't want to overwhelm myself with making this crazy decision. I will give context. Do not just quit your job, please. Entrepreneurship is difficult. Right. It's harder than I even realized. But for me, like I had 6 months saved. I was already making money as a creator. So I was in a great position to take a risk. So I did it. And then after the year was up, I was like, wait, I survived. It worked. Let me try it again. And then now we're over 5 years out. So I think it evolved into what it is now. Social Docket didn't come up until last year. So that's relatively new.
So let me ask you this. When this happened, were you living in New York at the time?
No, I've only been in New York for 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Where were you prior to?
I was in Alabama for 7 years.
Alabama. Birmingham. Okay. Is that where you're originally from?
No, I'm originally from Michigan. I've lived all over, but I'm originally from Michigan. That's where I was raised in Flint, 810. Okay. And then I went to college in Georgia and I lived there for 7 years. And then I went to law school in Alabama and I was there for 7 years.
Okay. So during this time, you were a creator and you were also a practicing attorney?
Right.
Okay. And so what was that moment like when you decided, I've got 6 months saved and I'm going to go ahead and quit my job and do this full time? Talk about that experience and what led to that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of nuances. I just don't publicly because it's like, child, that was so many years ago. But overall, it was like this fork in the road that I knew I would end up hitting, because I was always saying like I was a creator first. I never wanted to go to law school. Like that was a thing that just kind of came up. Wow. I wasn't like the kid that was like, I want to go to law school. I like school. I did not like school. I was a theater kid growing up. I was like, I'm going to go on Broadway. I was not thinking about school. I had an advisor in college that was like, you got to pick a major. You know, I was like a year and a half in and I hadn't picked a major because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And he suggested law. So that's kind of how that came up. But the moment where I was like, oh, I can quit, it was more of a combination of my job kind of putting a little bit of pressure on me to choose them over everything else I'm doing. A little combination of there really is this perfect situation I have. Like I don't have any kids. I don't have any pets. Yeah. Like this is the perfect time for me to make a risk. And then COVID was happening. So it's like your mind is already thinking like, do I want for the next 20, 30, 40 years of my life? Is this what I want to do? Is there anybody? I always tell people like, if you're working for someone, look around the office. Is it anybody's life that you desire to have that is aspiring? If it's not, you probably won't be there that long. So that was some of the conversations I was thinking and I was praying about. And then I was like, I mean, I can always go back to law. I will always be a lawyer. The title lawyer or attorney isn't attached to a job. It's not. Like it's attached to the degree that I already have. I passed the bar the first time. I did all the things. So it's like, how can I utilize my education as a lawyer in a career that I am passionate about and that I feel like I have purpose in? And that's kind of how Helping Creators came up.
Okay. So you said this was in 2020 when you made that decision to leave and during the pandemic?
Yep.
Okay. And that was in Alabama?
Yep.
Okay. So how did you end up in New York?
Right. So I was traveling to New York a lot. Lots of creator events and then more like non-traditional law events I was attending. Then I attended one event and then I came back to speak at that event. And they were like, you're always here. You should move here. And I kind of already thought of New York. The underlining low key story that I feel like I've recently been sharing because I hadn't shared it is that my first year of law school, I got a job offer as a summer associate to work in a hair company in their legal department in New York, and I didn't take it. I was young, I was scared, I was like, I can't live in New York, like I was intimidated. But New York was always kind of like a desired place. I just couldn't figure out how I would get there. Also, additional fun fact, I was born in New York. I didn't live here as a kid. I was raised in
Wow.
Michigan. So I
Okay.
have this attachment to New York. I couldn't quite figure out how to get there. Fast forward to October 2023, I attended an event. There was a firm there, and they said, "Hey, we would love to have you as like a either work full time, part time, contractor. We want you to be here." So we talked for 2 months. I moved in 2 months, and that's kind of how that came up. So I got a part time job. Well, I wouldn't even say part time, a contractor position to help them build out their contracts and influencer and marketing like space for their
Okay.
firm.
How much easier is that as opposed to just working full time? I mean, is it just they give you certain projects to work on and you deal with it? I mean, how do you navigate that as
Oh, I don't
opposed
work
to
for them
work?
anymore.
No, but I'm saying at the time.
Yeah, I think it was similar. So it was the same, and which is
Okay.
why I left.
Okay. Okay.
It wasn't so that the added the benefit that they were offering me was I was at capacity. I had all these creator clients, and they were like, "Bring your creator clients in our firm, and we'll help you like manage that. We'll help you so you can stay focused on your creator business. You can just filter in the clients to us. We'll pay you X, Y, Z. Da, da, da." That was great, and I was like, "Great! I need the help. I don't want to start a law firm, but I do need the help." And they also had additional resources, like they offered trademark services and other services that I just didn't want to offer. Great, so it's perfect for my clients to get the contracts, get the trademarks, kind of stay in the wheelhouse of the company. I quickly realized that they also were at capacity. So they weren't able to help fill in some of those gaps that I desired and that I needed in order for me to work with them.
Okay. So you obviously being an entrepreneur right now,
Hmm.
and we've heard stories from several entrepreneurs who talk about that moment when they kind of left their job in which there was not that any job is perfect and that there's never really any security in a particular job, but there's always that moment where they've got that job. It appears to be pretty, they're comfortable with the way things are. And then all of a sudden they decide that they want to leave. Um, if you don't mind me asking, when you made the decision to leave, what in terms of salary, when you made the decision,
Oh yeah,
ideally, what when you decided to leave, what were you giving up when you decided you wanted to go full time to be an entrepreneur?
yeah. I also add like they weren't paying me that much. I mean, they were
Wow.
paying a decent amount. So I
Right.
also feel like if I was getting paid more, it might have been harder to leave. So because it was under six figures, so it was
Mm,
like
okay.
I was literally matching my monthly salary with my social media business. So it wasn't like a hard decision when it came to the finances. The only part that was hard was really detaching from the title. It was you go through 3 years of intense law school
Yeah.
to become an associate attorney at X. Like I was like, "Hi, I'm an associate attorney." Hi. So I didn't know how to identify myself outside of work moving forward because for the past, 4 plus years I was law student, then attorney and associate, and then in college I had worked at law firms. So I was so engulfed in the legal profession that it was like if I leave that even temporarily, how do I then create this elevator pitch? Who am I outside
Hmm.
of being an associate attorney? And I think that was even harder than the finances. So, truth be told, they really should have been paying me more. I
Right.
didn't know about negotiating salary. So, I mean, I ended up doubling, if not more, my first year after I left.
After you left.
Yeah.
I find that it's amazing, isn't it? Because I had one particular guest who talked about how he left. He started a tech firm, and
Hmm.
he left a job that was paying him $200,000 a year.
Yeah. I was not making nowhere near that at the firm.
Right. And he goes and he starts a tech found up, and now he's got a multi-million-dollar app. And the reason, but there were struggles, and I guess when
Yeah.
people probably look at you on the outside looking in, and they see Cameron, and she's living this life, and she's got all of these followers, and she's got this startup that she's about to launch, and so forth. I'm just automatically assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that
Yeah, and will.
the journey isn't necessarily as glamorous as people may see on the outside looking in. There are always struggles. Can
Absolutely.
you share some of the struggles that you kind of like endured while you when you were making that transition?
Yeah. So I feel like startup journey has been harder than leaving the law firm, for me at
Wow.
least. Uh,
Wow.
because I didn't understand being an entrepreneur is difficult. Being a small business owner is difficult. Being a startup founder is extremely harder. That's
Hmm.
my argument. It's extremely harder. It's much different, especially in the tech industry. It's much different than being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like the title of entrepreneur is very umbrella,
Right.
very like you're taking more like freelancer, which I think is difficult because timelines with payments, especially as a creator, brands will play in your face, net 60, net 90, it's crazy, right? But being a startup founder, the amount of capital that you need, especially in the tech industry, is extreme. And I especially going into it not knowing that's what I was doing at first. I just wanted to help creators, had this AI idea, let's build this tech platform that has evolved over the past year into what we're doing now. It wasn't what we were doing originally. So that really, it was hard, but it wasn't as hard. Also was like, I don't know, what, mid-20s. I feel like I didn't have as much I was maybe more naive at that point
Yeah.
when I left the law firm. It was like, okay, I have all this money. I can spend it. Like, I'm fine. I had a few hiccups. So the first hiccup was, thankfully, I saved 6 months. I had a car that was paid off. Like, I was in a great position to be an entrepreneur. 3 months in, my car went out.
Mm-mm.
And it was like, great, here we go. So that's why I say that year, getting through that year, it was like, if I can make it through this year, I can make it through entrepreneurship. Fast forward to startup life, I'm thinking it's a 3-month venture and we launch, turns into a year. And I'm bootstrapping. We don't have any funding right now. Right now we're fundraising.
Right.
So imagine thinking you're going to spend maybe $8,000 and it turns into more like 60, 70, $80,000. It's just a totally different ball game.
Yeah.
So I think this journey has been much harder just because the amount of capital that you need is just a lot more.
Okay. And Cameron, we are going to get into Social Docket. I mean, we're going to get into Social Docket because that story in and of itself is fascinating. But I do kind of want to just focus a little bit more on that journey from the time you quit to the moment you decide to move forward with Social Docket.
Yeah.
And I say that because, again, this is more so kind of like, hopefully maybe someone, the audience who's watching this will probably get some sense of inspiration in terms of, because, obviously no entrepreneur journey is the same, but there at times are similarities. Talk about, because, there are a lot of people who are obviously inspired and they say, I think I've got the answer. I've got this thing that's going to change the world. I've got the key to world domination.
Yeah.
Only to realize that in that process, they may very well be capable of doing whatever it is that you're trying to do, but there are probably some steps that they may not be aware of. And so as a result, we find ourselves having to maybe take those additional steps to where maybe we need to get some coaching. Maybe we need to read some books. Is that something you find? And I say this because I at the same time that I happen to come across one of your clips, I saw where you were reading this book, and it is literally one of my favorite books, and I'm looking at it right now. 10X is easier than 2X.
Oh, that's one of my top 5 favorite books.
It's a great book, and anyone who's watching this, I highly, highly recommend that you read it.
So good.
And I say that because, again, the entrepreneurial journey or the learning aspect of it never ends, despite how successful you may be.
Yeah.
Talk about that process in terms of, okay, yeah, I'm on this journey, but how do you come to the conclusion that there's still some things that you need to learn despite the success that you were probably already experiencing?
Yeah. So after that first year where I really feel like I was just trying everything, I didn't have a game plan. I didn't have like a strategy. I wasn't tracking my finances. Like I was just, I'm just going about it like la la la. After that first year, it was like, okay, if you want to make this an actual business, you should probably think about managing your finances, planning your business goals. So the first book that I read before 10X is good. Before that one was Atomic Habits.
I read that one too.
Oh my God. I was like, I need to start at I need to go to ground zero. Help me help myself.
Yep.
The next book was the 12-week year. And that unlocked something because I was like, how do I make goals? Because every time I do these annual goals, about July, I forgot. So how do I make sure I'm like actually reaching goals to make progress and to make good profit in my company? Like, what are my goals? What do I want this to be? So I started planning like quarterly goals, and that just changed my entire mindset. It helped when it came to hiring. It helped when it came to managing my team so that everybody's on the same place. It just helped us have an actual like target to reach, and then we can review it. Yeah. So that really, really helped me. Also, I mean, I made a ton of mistakes. Like one huge financial mistake was trademarks. Of course, you would
Mm.
think law school, you know about trademarks. The name that I came up with for my consulting firm, I came up when I was my first year in law school. So I wasn't thinking about trademarks at that point. I didn't grow up around lawyers. I didn't grow up around like that kind of conversation like at home. So the Legal T was is the name of my consulting firm. And I just at first it was a playlist on YouTube. I wasn't even thinking like I should get this trademark. It's just some little name I came up with in 2017. I am still battling. We just finalized our coexistence agreement with the trademark 2025.
And this is
I
back
filed
in
20,
2017.
no. I filed. So I came up with the name in 2017.
Okay.
I filed the mark at the end of 2020. I hired a horrible attorney who missed the deadline that I gave her a warning. I had to fire her. I hired another attorney that just priced me out. Like it was just, it wasn't industry standard. The third attorney I hired was within a firm I was working for. That turned out to not be a good experience. And the fourth attorney that I currently have that I trust, I know, I like, we will always work together, Lord willing, finally got us to a resolution with that. So that has been probably my most expensive mistake is a trademark battle. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars, if not more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's just me not understanding that the importance of really like getting your brand name, like getting the name and your intellectual property. And as much as once I realized that later on after the 2020 debacle, it was like, okay, this is something I can now share with my creator clients. So if I have to be the guinea pig, great. Because now when I'm advocating for them and I'm challenging them on what they need to get trademarked, it's coming from a place of, I actually get it. I'm not speaking at you, I'm speaking with you. And just guiding them to the right attorneys and asking the right questions when they're hiring for that.
Wow. Okay. So let's get into Social Docket, your baby, because I find this fascinating. Well, now that I know a little bit more about how these things work, especially with AI and the tools that I hear a lot of people using to create tech startups, just using tools, and these are people,
Yes.
no code AI tools and so forth, things of that
Yeah.
nature. So talk about the moment where you decided time to start a tech startup. I mean, how do you process, how do you start that? What is the process behind
Yeah.
that?
I mean, listen, last year this time, if you would have asked me that, I would have asked you back. I don't know. I had an idea for a platform. So my thing is, where do we go to get updated information on the laws, regulation, guidelines in the creator economy? Where do we go? I would get law students that would say, hey, like, there's nothing on Westlaw or LexisNexis, or like, where do we go? Like, I don't know how to stay up to date on the industry. I'm like, okay, like creators would come to me and say, how do I know about this contract? Is there like one place we can go? Do you have a YouTube playlist? But playlists aren't, great. Sometimes it's hard to search. Where do we go? So I was like, I'll just create this like law library for creators or like some type of platform that's educational. That was all that I wanted to do. I had a client who is like in tech adjacent kind of knowledge. She creates AR filters. So on TikTok or Instagram, when you're trying to like try on like a makeup or like a filter, she creates those.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her my idea and she was like, oh, I will connect you with the company. Let's do it. I think it's a great idea. Perfect. That was last year, October 2024. And that's what we started to build. So we started to build like an educational platform at the intersection between law and the creator economy, just to provide tips and tricks, updated industry knowledge with the TikTok ban that was going on. Where do you go to know, like, is it banned? Is it not? Is it true? Is it not? How do we know it's a true platform? So that's all we were building at first, just strictly legal education.
Now, was this name Social Docket? Was that the name of it, or?
For the first like 3 months, it was unnamed, no name. Okay. I couldn't figure out a name because I went through such a terrible trademark experience before. I'm like, okay, I need to think of something that's unique and long. And like, so the first name was Social Docket Dialogue.
Dialogue, okay.
Because I was like, it can't be just Social Docket. It's not like unique enough, like Social Docket Dialogue. We launched that in April of 2025. So from October to April, I worked with a company as a third party. They did all the tech. I didn't have to think about it. It was more plug and play. I just had to like tell them I want this and they would do it, right? But there were a lot of limitations. We launched in April. My operation manager, who's been my longest contractor, she was like, I have to tell you, I hate the platform on the back end. Wow. I said, I actually hate it too. She's like, I have been complaining, trying to help you with the admin. And her fiance took a look at it. So he's a software engineer. Mm-hmm. She was like, I was complaining so much one night that he was like, let me take a look. And he was like, it's terrible. So we all were having this conversation. I get on a call with them And he was like, I think it's a great idea, but I'd be glad to figure out if I can like just give you guys some guidance. Not work with us, just give us guidance.
Right.
Our second call, he created an entire like mock-up design, and he pitched us. He was like, I would love to work for you as like your engineer. I can help, and your developer. I can help just like develop the platform better outside of what they did. So we started doing that end of May, June. So that's really when I'm like, okay, we're building a tech platform. I went to Tech Week in New York. I started building relationships with engineers. I was like, I need to like understand the language. So I started to read on it, make those connections, lean in my network, and just become educated on what does it mean to build a tech company. That's when I found out about like the fundraising process of like pre-seed, seed, series. I didn't know about any of this world existed. Angel investors, venture capital, like the whole process of building a startup and bootstrapping, investing. What does that look like? So that happened really in June 2025.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So because of the help that your friend's husband provided,
Yep.
you were convinced at that moment that I guess because of the technical aspects associated with that project, you said this is a tech startup or this is a tech company. Let me get more involved in learning more about the technology space, if you will.
It was
And
a
that's what.
combination of things. It was when we launched our first app, because it was on the App Store and everything. We fully launched
Oh,
in
really?
April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had people pay. I think we had like 10 to 15 users, and I'm like, if people are willing to pay for a terrible platform, I
Yeah.
can only anticipate, and with very minimum like advertising. I think at that point we had like maybe 300 or 500 people on the wait list. Now we have over 1,600, and we haven't even really shown the product. So that was in April. I'm like, okay, if we can get one person paying would have been enough to show me. But the
Yeah.
fact that we had so many people pay and interact with the platform, that wasn't really where I wanted it to be, with like minimal branding, because we couldn't add like AI or anything. We didn't have any AI at that point. I started talking to engineers and like kind of challenging the idea and like, what do you think about this? Does this make sense? What is this outside of Gabe, who was our founding engineer? Outside of him, I was asking other people, and I was like, they were like, no, this is good. Like, I think this makes sense. Getting a ton of feedback, asking my creator clients, because I'm still helping them with their contracts. And so June, we weren't adding AI. It was just strictly educational platform. Him rebuilding what we had previously had, but more one-on-one, more developer focused, more design. We had our logo. We narrowed it down to Social Docket at that point, now Social Docket Dialogue. August is when we were like, we need to create an AI platform. So
Wow.
June to August, and then now August to now is so many changes.
Okay. So was that when you made the decision to, I guess, include AI? Was that a difficult transition, or was that just something you included? I mean, explain that process, if you will.
Yeah. So honestly, it was about cost. I'm like, how
Yeah.
much would you charge me for phase one, which didn't include AI, and then phase two? So our goal was to eventually get to AI by early next year. But once I got really heavily into the tech conversation, so I'm going to like, at this point, I'm shocked myself. I'm at investor meetings, investor calls. I'm at these networking events with like high level tech people that have raised tens of millions of dollars. And the more I'm in these environments and learning the language and the reach and the possibilities of expanding my mind, I'm like, wait a minute, AI, this is AI era. People can hate
Yeah.
it, people can like it, but on the business side, it's smart to integrate it if we're building tech. So that's when I had the conversation with my engineer and my team and saying, all right, let's reconvene on the pricing. What if we swap it, and what if we start with phase two, and then we build out the educational piece later on? So what would this AI look like? Do we need to focus on contracts? Do we need to focus on what area should we focus on? And we landed on contracts because that's what I've been doing. That's what I know. And at the heart of a business transaction is a contract. It's almost the easiest entry into entrepreneurship is a contract. You go from hobby to business, contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we started building out our contract analysis tool, where it's a vertical AI tool. So it's only taught on the things that we're teaching it.
Right.
It's basically my brain and how I help my creators one-on-one, but with an AI powered platform. We still have a human touch, of course, but it helps you with like your red lines, your revisions, but also it just pulls out the important facts. So like the key dates, the deal summary, and it gives you your negotiation tips to help you not just understand what the contract is saying, but also to be able to explain it to the brands or to the agencies that you're trying to tell them why you took out the red lines.
Is there a pricing element?
Yes. So it is a monthly membership. It's a subscription model that's what we landed on, to be the easiest. Right now there's 2 tiers.
Okay.
And then we have like an agency tier as well, because a lot of talent managers also do contracts. And the thing about it is, when I'm on the side helping creators and I'm advocating for them, I'm not talking to lawyers 99% of the time. Understandably so. Our argument is, let us help people help themselves because they're doing it themselves anyways, and allow the lawyers to focus on the more complex situations because the creator economy is growing. Creators are becoming artists and models and actors and actresses, and those contracts can be a lot more complex than our traditional brand partnerships, influencer marketing agreements, talent management agreements. So let us help alleviate some of the more less complicated contracts to allow the lawyers to stay in their zone of genius, and then when they need them, they can tap into their legal teams if needed.
Okay.
So we're giving agencies the ability to use the platform too.
So is it in beta?
Yeah, we're in beta. Yes.
Still in beta. Okay. And how many active users do you have right now?
16. So plus our team of 6.
Okay.
So they're not on the platform again. Tech learning.
Right. Because I'm clueless. I'm just saying. I'm
yeah,
trying.
No. This is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have 16 committed beta founding members. We're calling them our founding members because they're like in the weeds with us right now. The only reason why we haven't opened it up, so we have a 1,600 plus wait list, and everything is taking longer than expected, which is also why I decided that we actually do need to fundraise because the amount of money it takes with including AI is not what I was planning for because we weren't planning on doing AI.
Yeah.
So how it works is when you ask AI a question and when it responds, it's a fee every time. So it's a fee to ask, it's a fee to respond, right? So that could quickly add up.
Right.
Initially, if we weren't doing AI, it's like, oh, okay, it's fine, it's manageable. But then once you include that on top of the hosting website, on top of like our email flows and everything else that we're paying for our contractors, it quickly got much more expensive. And my engineer works full time. He has a separate job.
Right.
And we all had this heavy conversation where I was like, as a team, I said, I need to know y'all are in it because I will do all that I can to get us funded. And everybody's like, let's do it. My engineer's like, I'll be full time. So once I got that go, it was like, all right, now fundraising mindset, which is a full-time job as a founder, is how do I build these connections, use discernment to make sure that we're having the right partners. And I'm excited that we have some really good opportunities coming up, and Lord willing, we close our round soon.
Okay. So you just mentioned something I was about to ask. It just kind of like maybe you don't have to get too detailed, but what is the process of attracting a potential donor or someone to fund a project? How does that work? Kind of like, just a broad view of how to, because, and the reason why I said it is because I know for a fact, and I've got a couple of friends, they talk about this idea, man, if I can just get in front of a couple of investors or someone who knows this, kind of what is the broad practical steps to take to get in front of the right people to pitch your product or your startup?
Yeah, and I'll add, I'm still new to this, so this is
fair enough.
An amazing book to read that an investor actually suggested is called Venture Deals. It is really complex. I didn't go to business school, and it was really complex, but I'm working my way through it. But it's extremely helpful when it comes to seeing how an investor thinks, and also how like startup attorneys think. It's written by 2 people that have that experience, so it gives you perspective. So I'll start with that. Reading that book is phenomenal. 10 out of 10 recommend. It's all about relationship building. It's all about relationship building, like every other industry. And with being in New York is really helpful, but also if you're in other cities, it doesn't mean that you can't. There's a ton of virtual events. So doing a Google search or on ChatGPT, et cetera, and looking like, what are the top 10 to 20 investment firms and angel investment firms that provide funding in my industry? So whether it's like CPG or it's fashion tech or legal tech or whatever, and finding those, starting there and just researching. It's a lot of the non-sexy things that I don't show y'all is just research. Me and my laptop, researching and reviewing and building connections with founders. And I'll say like building in public is a big thing right now. Sharing the journey and like the behind the scenes. And it feels like, oh, it's cute, but it's really strategic. It's about, I built some amazing founder relationships. And the benefit with being with founders is it's usually easier to have those conversations because we're all kind of in it together, but they know people that I don't know because either they're in a different industry or maybe they went to Stanford or they went to like some of these higher schools that I didn't go to. So I can leverage these new relationships to leverage the network. For example, like I had a founder colleague that we've been just building a relationship over the past few months, and she tagged me in a LinkedIn post with an investor and I pitched her and we had a call. So you never know where you're going to be able to build these connections. It's all about just asking. Like tech is, they're going to go after what they want. They're going to send you the cold pitches. They're going to make the warm intros and they want you to follow up. So being in these rooms, being in these spaces, knowing what your offer is key. But the goal really is to bootstrap as long as possible. Don't just start taking money because you think you need money. Sometimes you don't need money. You need to show traction. Maybe it's because your user doesn't want it. So sometimes we think we need money, but also we need to show that it is something that the market actually wants first. And once you find that, then you know how much money you actually need. Because getting money, there's an exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So we're raising a pre-seed round, but that's in exchange for equity. And it's like the more traction you have and the more specialty and knowledge that you have as a founder, the better you can negotiate that experience versus I want XYZ amount of money and then now I have to give all this equity unnecessarily because I don't know any better.
Wow.
And I'm not trying to be the founder to exit and not make any money.
So there you go again, talking about your network and the people that you know, which you leverage to put you in contact with other people. But let me ask you this. How impactful, and if there's no connection to it, by all means, let me know. How impactful has your overall influence on social media, or should I say your presence on social media? Has that been helpful in terms of maybe you getting into these rooms or meeting with some of these people, or are they just completely separate?
I'd say 50-50, maybe 70-30. 70, yes, very helpful. 30%, not necessarily. Because my audience wasn't built on what I'm building. So the numbers are great. Like they look good. And I think, yeah, sure, they can open some doors, but it's not an equal, I have 90,000 subscribers, I'm going to get 90,000 users. Luckily for me, I do think there's going to be a high percentage, once we get going and we show the product and we can show that it's something that people absolutely need. I think, yeah. But my personal brand is still valuable in other ways when it comes to like speaking engagements, getting the calls with investors, like that alone can be really beneficial. And I think like my privilege in this is I'm building for creators as a creator. Mm-hmm. So I get to go to these events where it's hundreds of thousands of users, potential users, because I'm there as a content creator. And now I can talk to my fellow creators and pitch my idea without having to pay to be in those rooms or like find my way into those rooms. So I go to a ton of influencer events as an influencer, but I get to go like underlining also as a founder, building for influencers. So there's a huge advantage there alone. I do think in 2025 and beyond, investors do see value in platforms and visibility. Visibility can open a door, can have you sit at a table and have a conversation that you might not have just because people don't know you. But social media allows people to know you to some extent. And I do think there's definitely a benefit there. So I'm not going to say having a platform is not beneficial. It is extremely beneficial.
Right.
Some people don't see it like that. They can make, preconceived notions and opinions and judgments just off your social media. So there's a pro and a con for sure.
Gotcha. So let me ask, this area or this industry that you're in, is this something that's fairly new, or is there already kind of like an existing industry for individuals who want to go to people? I understand you have like attorneys and they may very well specialize in this particular space, but is what you're doing right now with Social Docket, is that like completely unique? Or, and if you don't want to talk about this, you don't have to, but I mean, are there any other like technical tools or AI tools that are similar to what you're doing right now?
I would say the closest competitor that we always kind of reference and watch is LegalZoom. So
wow. Okay.
LegalZoom, I mean, they've been building, B2C. Now they also have the B2B component with their own internal law firm, but also a marketplace of lawyers.
Yeah.
But at this point, a lot of people either don't like LegalZoom, it's overwhelming, it's too generic, it's been going on for years, it's kind of like out of touch when it comes to the creator economy and the digital workforce. So that would be like our competitor. And, Lord willing, maybe we'll be tag teaming with them or even further than them with a specialty in like this new age of the digital workforce is what we're essentially building.
So the fact that your particular tool is kind of, because it's so specific, is that the benefit as opposed to something like LegalZoom that's, like you said, kind of like generic? Is that kind of like the difference between the two?
Yeah, there's a few different differences, but that's definitely one of the main components is the fact that as a creator myself, I understand how creators work, how their workflow functions. And a lot of other companies, whether it's LegalZoom or insert other company, they don't understand the practicality of how we think and how we work and what we need when it comes to contracts, when it comes to terms. Also, like I'm a millennial, so our contract tool isn't going to be too high level. We're tired of the blur of the moreover, therefore, for. It's like, what does this mean? I'm trying to create. I want to make sure that I'm protected. I understand the importance of contracts, but what does this say in like regular everyday language? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to remove the blur of a contract, remove the blur of business tools and the legal profession, and provide access to legal that just hasn't been there, not in a way that we're doing it.
Okay. The creator economy. let me ask you this, because you probably know this better than anyone. Because everybody, I've heard it, and maybe you've heard this before. People say that there's no greater time or no better time to get in the field of entrepreneurship, or to start a business, or you may have heard they've even said that every business, whether it be a plumber or whether it be a painter, needs to be on social media, and they need to create content to help promote their business.
Yep.
Do you think we'll ever get to the point to where it becomes oversaturated, or is that doesn't exist, or will it not exist? Because there's everyone says that you need to be on there,
Right.
and there are a lot of people out there. So, I mean, where's the creator economy going? I guess that's the question I probably should ask, given where we are right now at this point.
Yeah, I love this question because I do not think it's oversaturated. I don't think there will ever be a point where it's oversaturated. I think the missing piece with that conversation is the fact that you can have a sibling. I'm an only child, but I'm assuming siblings can live in the same house, have the same experience with the same parents, and still have totally different outcomes. And their unique journeys will be unique to them. There are no two same people. I don't care if you're a twin or triplet. There are no two same people. So the fact that we all can share our unique journeys and perspectives and life experiences and knowledge is the reason why it won't be saturated. So you sharing your personal experience can never be replicated. Somebody can copy and say, sign your contract. Just like I say, sign my contract. We will have two different clients because of my life experience, of my delivery, of the cadence of my content, etc. So I don't think there will ever be a point where it's oversaturated. I think people may feel that way, but it's like maybe you aren't pivoting, maybe you aren't focusing on your audience, maybe you're copying someone else. But if you truly true to your journey and your vision and what you're doing, there's never going to be anybody like you. And that's with anybody. There's no competition on social media. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Ball drop.
With respect to Social Docket, and I should have asked you this earlier.
Yeah.
Is this for anyone, or is this kind of like the app in and of itself? Is it for people maybe at a particular point in their creator journey, or is it pretty much available for anyone? I mean, do you need to have a certain number of followers or subscribers to partake in this? Who is this for?
We have of course, like our target consumer, right? Of course, we have our target user, but in general, it's for everybody. So although like we're really focusing on the AI component of our contract piece, some people don't have contracts yet, right? So we do have like a chat bot that is tailored to the creator economy where you can ask questions. But we have a learning hub in our social club. So our learning hub is going to be really where we started with the think podcast style Q&As and how you can cultivate like what are red flags, what are green flags, like how do I start my business? Do I need an LLC? Do I need an S corp? So we're going to provide like still that educational kind of pillar. And then the social club is people want to be in real life. There aren't a ton of creator conferences or events that focus on law, creator businesses, taxes. So we want to bring those events in a unique way. For example, like our first event, we did a soft launch and it was at a nail salon. I brought in some beauty influencers. They got their nails done. We played legal bingo. So while they're getting their nails done and they're playing legal bingo and they're asking me questions about what is usage rights, what is exclusivity, and we're having an organic conversation while being in our element and creating content. We had a videographer there. We want to bring some of those unique experiences in a non-traditional way to educate people where it doesn't feel intimidating, it doesn't feel overwhelming, but it feels accessible and approachable. So then when they're ready to utilize our contract tool, they can use that as well. Our goal is to build the entire legal infrastructure for the creator economy. So we're starting with creators, but our argument, just like you said, everyone's going to be creating content. Yeah. And eventually there's going to be a moment where you either get a brand opportunity or you get a speaking opportunity or you collaborate with another brand. And guess where there's a contract. So we're starting with brand partnership agreements, influencer agreements, and talent management agreements. But eventually we'll have independent contractor agreements, vendor agreements, speaker agreements. And the benefit with me having an employment background that I never thought would come up is I can help creators build out their teams. What's the difference between a contractor and an employee? What does that look like practically? So we're excited to, of course, start at the bottom, but the goal is to take the entire industry and disrupt the creator economy and the legal profession and bring them together.
One of the things that I heard you, or I think I saw this recently, and I don't know how old it was, because God, you create a lot of content. I mean, you
I
create
do.
a lot of content.
Been over a decade.
Yeah. And I noticed you mentioned, and understandably so, you mentioned a partnership that you had with Chase,
Mhm.
in which I guess they were kind of like coaching you through this process. Talk
Yeah.
about how that happened and talk about how helpful it's been for you up to this point.
Yeah, so Chase Business has a coaching program I didn't even know existed. It's called Coaching for Impact. Anybody can apply, to my knowledge. They have like certain metrics, so just make sure you read their requirements as far as like income and like where you're located, etc. But that was through networking.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
actually had a friend from church who invited me to the event. I went to the event. They had like a Chase booth set up. I didn't even get a chance to go to the booth because I had to take calls all day with my team. And right at the end of the event, I was downloading some content on my phone, and the Chase guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, like, what is this tool you're using?" And then we should talk. I talk about Social Docket because that's just the first thing on my mind. And he was like, "I would love for you to join our coaching program." So that's kind of how I got that. So sometimes it's just being in the rooms, networking, leaving a good impression on someone because you never know where your name is floating around. So always just being yourself and just pitching when you have the opportunity. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
I know we're running out of time. Just a few more questions for you. Let me ask you, where would you like to see creators? What would you like to see creators value or protect earlier in their journey that maybe you didn't realize when you kind of early in your journey? Are there some things that creators maybe are doing that they shouldn't do that you kind of like maybe notice and you like? And I'm guessing you probably go, "Oh my God, this person! Oh, don't do." Are there a couple of pointers that you can possibly point out or provide that could possibly help someone early on in their creator journey?
Yeah, early on, I think so many creators get caught up in the numbers. They're like, I
Mm,
only have 2,000 followers and I can't make any money. That's not true. Maybe you can't make money how it looks like for someone with 50,000 followers. Maybe you aren't doing a traditional brand deal, but there's affiliate links. A lot of those don't have a barrier of entry. You do got to read the contracts, but there's
right.
not a barrier of entry. Or maybe you create beautiful content and you're a videographer, photographer, and you can work with brands and offer them your marketing services. At this point, I think a lot of creators don't understand we're entrepreneurs. You're not just a content creator, but we are really an entrepreneur. And what that looks like is taking on freelance jobs. And maybe it isn't posting on your platform, but the brand will hire you for UGC, so user generated content. And you can make tens of thousands of dollars, even if your platform necessarily isn't as large as some of the companies you work with. So I think a lot of creators just limit themselves because I can't pitch because I don't have XYZ followers, or I can't go to this event because I don't have. That doesn't matter. Show up in those rooms, pitch yourself, create amazing content organically, tag the brands, and you'd be surprised of how just doing that, one, it's going to equal to more followers or whatever your goals are, but also you can start to make a good income from that. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of creators just limit themselves by the following. Also, a lot of creators don't have an entity. Please at least get an LLC, have
Wow. Yeah.
those
Wow. Yeah.
because they're like, well, I'm not making enough. But then the first time, because I've had this situation too, I'm not making enough. I'll just stay in LLC. Wrong. There's no perfect number to start to think about opting for different taxation, such as like a S corp,
S corp.
for
Yeah.
example. But you'll learn quick when you file those taxes that year after making some money, and then you're like, I gotta pay 15.3% on how much?
I am here
So
to tell you, I know firsthand. That experience happened to me. I was an LL. It was, let me.
yeah,
It's not about me, but I
LLC,
know
and then you
exactly what you mean. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
So I think that's also a thing where you go from, okay, I'm finally in a position where I understand I can make money. Then you make the money and not realize, how do I set myself up for success with this money? How do I make more, but also keep the money and protect the money? Right. So I think getting an entity and having those conversations. Also, I think people think, I got to contact a lawyer for that. Talk to a tax professional first. A lot
yeah.
of times people think
Yeah.
it's a lawyer. It's like,
Right.
tax professional. But even when you're seeking a lawyer, vet them. Don't just call your family friend that's a lawyer that focuses on family law. They may not know that. So
Right.
that's also something that we're thinking of. How do we bring our network of attorneys that specialize in entertainment, media, small businesses to be able to advise clients accurately? Because the conversations are different. Even tax professionals, if they've never worked with a creator, they're not getting all the write-offs correct. Okay. So you want to make sure you're leaning on professionals that actually know what you do.
Not if. Come on. Not if, but when Social Docket
Yes.
meets its full potential. When, not if. We're going to
Hey,
speak into
come on.
existence, right?
Come on, somebody.
What what changes do you ultimately hope it makes for the next generation of content creators going forward?
I want them to feel empowered by being a creator. A lot of times creators feel undervalued, underrepresented, just like they're almost like the black sheep. And I
Mm-hmm.
want them to join Social Docket's ecosystem and feel like, wait a minute, I am an entrepreneur. I am a founder. I can leverage my creator brand. I can leverage my visibility. I can leverage my platform. I can protect myself. I can make more money. I can get equity in companies. I can have those conversations. I have so much value because of the platforms I've created and where I'm going with that now I have access to everything. I've opened a
Mm-hmm.
completely different door. I want them to feel empowered that you're so much more than just creating a video and a photo. Your platform is your intellectual property. You have so much value and there's so much more money that you could be making and protecting by understanding what it means when you sign these contracts, by understanding what it means when you hire your first employee full time and now you're paying for someone's salary. That alone is really a large benefit and value that a lot of creators just don't understand.
Final question. And
Mhm.
I purposely saved this one for last because I'm trying to make it hard, but you're answering these questions with such fluidity, and this may
Thank
not be
you.
difficult for you at all. So, 5 or 10 years from now, when people mention your name, what would you what would you want to be known for, and what do you want them to say about you most?
Ooh, I love this. Um, we'll go with the 10 years, get a little fur out just in case. I would say I want people to. This is such a good question. See, you just said now you got to trip me up. I have so many ideas. But the first thing that came to mind was that I inspired another young black girl to move by faith and not by sight,
Mm.
and not take her circumstances as limitations, but take them and use the cards that you're dealt to be empowered, to move forward, to move faster, to make sure that no matter what the battles and trials and tribulations that you may be seeing right now, that there's something on the other side of that. And that no matter what people say, the limitations, the naysayers, that you can show them better than you could tell them. And that I was a depiction of that through trying, failing, trying again, learning a lesson, sharing that journey, sharing the good, the bad, the ugly, the wins, the successes, and being able to hopefully build a foundation from that where people can see that even further. But just inspiration that you are just so much more than what's right in front of you.
To the person watching this video, did I not tell you at the beginning of this podcast that this sister was cold blooded? I told y'all she is cold blooded. And I knew it before the fact. Now that I've had an opportunity to chat with her for an hour, I think you'll agree. She's the real deal. Kameron, for those who, how can get, we'll have links in the description, but if you don't mind, just let people know how they can find you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's such a good
Yes,
conversation. I love
yes.
the questions. Were amazing. Such good questions. Some I haven't even been asked, so I love that. Yeah, you can find me on pretty much every social media platform. Cameron Monet, it's Cameron with a K. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, you name it, I'm there. And then if you want to follow our journey on Social Docket, it's just Social Docket on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. So definitely follow us there, and we'd be glad to have you along the journey.
She is Kameron Buckner of Social Docket. Ma'am, thank you for taking a few minutes to talk to me and to talk to the audience, and good luck to you going forward in whatever it is that you do.
Thank you. Thank you.